Hello, America. Welcome to Monday. Wow, what a coincidence. Here we are at the middle of a beginning of an energy crisis. And tomorrow, the Department of Energy, the U.S. government, is going to announce an exciting breakthrough on fusion energy. Well, we say good morning to my executive producer, Stu Bregeer. Hello, Stu.
Glenn, very excited we've solved all of our energy problems.
All of our energy problems are solved. Now, let me read this. A report teasing a breakthrough in the search for viable nuclear fusion. What is the difference between fission and fusion? Fission, we have nuclear power plants. They can go out of control. You need the control rods and everything else. If that goes bad, it goes really bad. Fusion, however, just stops. So you can stop it at any time. And, well, I'll get into it later. In the past 2 weeks, according to reports, scientists at a federal facility in California, not a private facility, but a federal facility in California, were able to produce more energy than the amount of energy put into the experiment using laser beams to ignite a fusion reaction with a small amount of hydrogen plasma. This net energy gain, which has eluded physicists for decades, was achieved at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory and signals the emergence of a technology that could become a zero-carbon alternative to fossil fuels. Though the scientists stress that fusion power stations are decades away from becoming a reality. People inside and outside of the scientific community celebrated the news, though with a healthy dose of caution. The report offers some reason to be careful, as two of its sources said the greater than expected energy output of 2.5 megajoules of energy in an experiment using 2.1 megajoules of energy in the lasers damaged some of the diagnostic equipment. Okay, so what does that mean? It means the equipment that was diagnosing how much energy is being produced broke. So they can't be sure that it produced. Well, that's okay. We'll just do it again. Well, they did do it again. And initial diagnostic data suggests another successful experiment at the National Ignition Facility. However, the exact yield, meaning how much more energy did it produce than the energy it took, is still being determined, and we can't confirm that it is over the threshold at the time. So in other words, the first time we couldn't measure it because it broke. The second time, we haven't confirmed yet that it's over the threshold of the energy that we used. But celebrate. Okay, I would say, hold on. Let's not celebrate. I mean, not quite yet. What we're looking at here is fusion, if it is a reality, fusion at a very small scale. That's good. House-sized or even car scale, nuclear fusion would be fantastic. Remember Mr. Fusion on the top of the DeLorean when Doc came back in the Back to the Future 2? Fusion could mean you could run an electric car for 100,000 hours without a charge, or a phone you'd need to plug in for a couple of hours once a year. Commercial planes just needing to recharge electrically once a year, no gas. This could fundamentally transform everything. However, this is an odd government announcement, as you will find out here in a minute. Generally speaking, also, as a guy who likes the private sector, I don't like the idea that this is coming from the government. First of all, I don't trust the government. The government is in black ops all the time. Now, the other reason is because, if the lame duck Congress wanted to pass a new spending bill for organic energy, before the new Congress comes, would you be for it? No, we organic energy. We are on the cusp of organic. I wouldn't spend a dime with them. Just like we shouldn't have spent a dime on all those solar panels. They have a tendency of doing this. If some $600,000 grant given to some no-name blah, blah, blah student from MIT resulted in repeatable nuclear fusion, okay, good. I hope this works. I hope this works. I would rather have it come from a private company than the United States government, but I'll take it from either one, quite honestly. But I don't believe it. And here's one of the reasons. I was reading a story from Morgan Stanley. It is from their Equity Research Department. And it's a story on what's next for ESG. And I read this Saturday, and there was just a chart that shows what's coming between now and 2040. So this is the ESG, World Economic, and Morgan Stanley chart on what's happening to curb global warming. So from 2020 to 2022, they're into geoengineering and bioengineering. Those sound good. Then next year, 2023 to 2028, carbon removal and cooling techniques, and synthetic biology and synthetic foods are going to be on the table. Okay, 2023 to 2028, we're launching into synthetic foods. Oh, I didn't think we were doing. Yes, we are. Then
are the synthetic foods when we finally get our bug burgers?
Yes.
Okay.
2029 and 2034. We get the smart grid hardware and software. So the smart grid can make sure that your house is never over a temperature that the government wants it to be. Okay. Also, synthetic biology and manufacturing. Then we get to 2035 and 2040. Now, remember, this is a Morgan Stanley chart based on World Economic Forum, what they're planning on doing. Between 2035 and 2040, fusion reactors provide baseload power. Now, this stuck out to me when I read this on Saturday because I was like, wow, didn't know we had fusion reactors. That's pretty quick. And then the next day I read that we're going to announce tomorrow we have fusion, possibility of fusion. Even though it's decades away, the World Economic Forum says in 2035, we'll have fusion reactors, which will provide base load power. They are counting on fusion reactors providing the baseline of the power for the world. And then they're also going to be working on disease vector re-engineering. So that'll be good. We'll have more Wuhans out there. That'll be fantastic. So what do you think? I look at that chart and say one of three things. First one, I don't believe that we've had fusion power for a long time and the evil oil companies have kept it at bay. I don't believe that. Two, they're just lying to you. And there's nothing with fusion reactors. Nothing going on there. I don't believe that one. The third one is we are close to fusion. We are close. But close is like, I think Jesus is returning. Yeah, that could be in a couple of years. That could be in 1,000 years. But we're close. Fusion, we're close. But what does that mean? What they're doing is, I believe, and I hope I'm wrong, what I believe they're doing is they believe they're close, and so they're just telling you, oh, look how close we are, to give you hope that we're not going to have energy problems and all starve to death because of this crazy climate change policy. They're giving you hope that, no. We're going to have baseline power in 10 years. And America's going to be the one. So, rah, America. I think they are bluffing. They are counting on it. They are hoping for it. But they don't believe it. They don't believe it. And I don't believe it.
So, Glenn, what would the reason be for them to be faking confidence or overconfidence in their ability to develop fusion technology? What's the point of that?
Okay, let me just give you some headlines. Biden administration will ban fossil fuel use in new federal buildings by 2030. No fossil fuel use in federal buildings by 2030. Jeep lays off 1,350 workers at an Illinois plant, citing the rising costs of electric vehicle production. Try this one. Deportation of criminal illegal aliens way down under Biden. The price of wholesale goods jumps more than expected as inflation persists. Report, Pentagon worries Russian released in prisoner swap may return to arms trafficking. China and Saudi Arabia sign strategic partnership as President Xi visits the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. There's nothing but bad news on the horizon. There is nothing. We have said for a long time, I've said, where is the president that will point to the sky and say, we are going to the moon and return a man within the decade? That gives America, especially a collective version of America, hope. This is hope. Hope and belief in your country, because your country is the one that has funded it and has pioneered it, and we're leading the world. I think this is brilliant strategy.
Well, they certainly isn't Jennifer Granholm going to be there? Like, this is an administration event.
Oh, yeah, no.
Quite
Jennifer,
clearly.
She's the one announcing it tomorrow.
Right, that's what I mean. So that they are putting that together. That certainly supports that. And to your point of it, maybe they are making some progress. Maybe they believe they're close. And this is the way to draw in industry,
public private partnerships,
and including financing in future bills. They'll throw money at this as well. This
is the Manhattan Project. Okay. And we can debate that. But the way this is being done, I believe they are creating a Chinese style partnership government program. They need to lie to us to get there. Instead of saying, we believe this can be done, and it can be done if we combine the money and the ingenuity of DARPA and the money and the engineering required from the private sector. We want to work together like they did, with McDonnell Douglas and everything else for the moonshot. Mm-hmm. Instead, they are lying to us and saying, look, I think we found it. Now we got to funnel money into it. That's what this is going to be. Announcement of a giant program tomorrow. By the way, in some of the stories, it will actually state that a significant amount of money from the Inflation Reduction Act has already gone into the fusion research. Really? Wow.
I thought we were
psychic.
Reducing inflation with that act. No.
New technology.
Well, it's important to have moonshots. This actually reminds me of one of Joe Biden's other moonshots we can check on the progress on right now.
Yeah,
Has Joe Biden cured cancer.com. If you go there, you can check, at any point during your day, has Joe Biden cured cancer, as he promised during the campaign?
Yeah, he said, no joke. He prefaced it with no joke.
No joke. We're going to cure cancer if I'm elected.
Right.
He was elected. So there he is. He's the president of the United States.
Has he cured cancer?
Has Joe Biden cured cancer? No. Cancer still exists as of this day.
So this is a great example. I believe we're going to cure cancer. I think we could cure cancer maybe by 2030, maybe earlier than that, maybe a few years later. I'm always bad with timing, but we will cure cancer. Quantum computing will cure cancer. Quantum computing is here. It's beginning to find usefulness. When that happens, we will cure cancer. So what is he doing? He knows what I know, and anybody who talks to futurists or, reads futurists, that is coming. So what is he saying? The government, with me as president, the government will cure cancer.
So taking credit for essentially these advancements that were coming anyway.
I believe this announcement is. We're close. We just got to double our efforts. But the secret is they are counting. They are, according to the World Economic Forum, they are counting on fusion providing the base load by 2035. So in 12 years, by the way, that's a decade and 2 years. When scientists warn us in the stories today that even if this is accurate, which we don't know, it will take decades to be able to build a fusion power plant. Decades. What do we do in the meantime? What are those federal buildings going to do without any fossil fuel in 2030? How are you going to power? I am fine for freezing those people out. Do we have another shuttle of coal? Absolutely not. Do you want to destroy the planet? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Scrooge. I'm fine with all federal buildings not having the power. Oh, their computers are down? Oh, shoot. They can't get anything done? Oh, crap. Are they too cold? They want to stay home? Oh, gee. I am all for it. But what is Joe Biden planning on using for power in 2030? 7 years from today.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The way of the Lord.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
These reactions, once you obviously have built your fusion reactor, are basically two different kinds of hydrogen. One's deuterium and one is tritium, otherwise known as hydrogen 2 and hydrogen 3. Hydrogen 2 literally can be derived from water, tap water, and hydrogen 3 is a byproduct of lithium. So these are obviously widely available. That's the fuel, and those are the inputs to create this limitless clean energy. And, perhaps, Glenn, another way to look at it is that if we think about an individual consumer, to produce 10 years of energy for an individual consumer, it only takes a few tablespoons of water and the amount of lithium that is in your smartphone.
Wow.
For one person for 10 years. That's how incredible nuclear fusion is as a source of clean energy.
Holy cow. Now, they say that if this is true, it would still take us decades before we could open up a plant. Do you believe that to be true?
No. It can happen a lot faster than that. I think back to when you and I sat down in your studio almost 3 years ago to the date.
Yeah.
I think it was November 2019. And at that time, I predicted that we would see this moment within 5 years, so before 2024. And here we are. And back then, I remember the consensus in the industry was, 2030 and beyond.
Yeah.
So, no, it's not going to take 10 years to commercialize. We're going to have compact nuclear fusion reactors really within the next 3 years, we're going to see net energy output. And then, from my perspective, it's just a matter of commercialization. So as I look into the second half of this decade, we should see at least one or two companies producing those initial compact fusion reactors to be put into commercial use for clean energy production.
Like what kind of compact? What are you talking about? For your house, for your phone, for a city?
In the industry, when we talk about a compact fusion reactor, we can imagine something roughly the size of a semi-trailer, which is exciting because you can manufacture these things, put them on the back of a semi-trailer, ship them out to whatever neighborhood or subdivision or city, metropolitan area, and install these and basically connect them to the electricity grid.
And is this something that is affordable? Will it become affordable? I mean, it sounds like the resources that you need are plentiful.
Yes, the engineering required is, while technically more advanced in terms of material science, especially with regards to making these magnets that are required to contain this incredibly hot pressurized plasma. That's really the hardest part. But the costs are going to be a lot less than a large power production plant. Because fusion is such an energy-dense way to produce electricity, as opposed to a natural gas plant or a coal plant, something like that, or for that matter, a nuclear fission plant.
And once you start the fusion, it doesn't stop, right? It just keeps feeding,
it does.
like
That's
the sun.
Right. So this is the great part. This is in terms of operational cost. If you're producing 10 units of energy, then you can just take a portion of that energy and use it to fuel the nuclear fusion reaction. It'll just go on forever as long as you need it to, 24/7. That's the beauty of these fusion reactions, and there's no risk of a meltdown at all. The moment you basically take your finger off the button, basically the plasma cools down peacefully, and the reaction stops. It just stops producing energy.
All right, back in just a second. Can you stay with us, Jeff, for a while?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on just a second, because I want to know, what does this mean for the car energy, for the car industry, the battery industry? If it could happen that quickly, what happens to all of that infrastructure that they're building now, the solar panel industry? All right, back in just a second. Well, Jeff, we know that big oil kept big battery from being made. And so now, why would big battery allow fusion to happen? What does this mean for all of the battery research and the cars we're building now?
Well, the industry for petroleum and gasoline, of course, natural gas. This is the one that will be the most threatened. Coal as well, from a breakthrough like this. When we have limitless, almost free clean energy, no carbon emissions, no reactive waste, why do we need those other sources of energy? And there's obviously some very large vested interests that would probably prefer to not see this happen. But the car industry, this is what makes, from my perspective, electric vehicles make sense. Historically, right. In the U.S., 60% of all electricity production comes from coal and natural gas. And in fact, in the last 2 years, our usage of coal has increased from about 21% to 25% just in the last 2 years. I know it's counterintuitive. So driving around an electric vehicle when it's fueled by electricity from fossil fuels that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if we have nuclear fusion, then electric vehicles make a ton of sense because we don't have to burn fossil fuels to create the electricity to fuel them.
All right. So I hate to be such a pessimist, but I just have seen too many things here. There's also vested interest right now, especially with ESG, to make sure that those profits happen that haven't been happening and are causing all kinds of problems for these big hedge funds, et cetera. The idea that we are on a breakthrough energy would funnel a lot of money into these kinds of new technologies and help fund them. And if they're real, great. If they're a Green New Deal, not so great. And so there is big business and big money and big government that would love to. It's just coincidental or very, very convenient that this would be announced like this by the government, which would play right into their hand. Am I being too pessimistic here?
No, I don't think you are. There's just tens of billions of dollars at stake here. And obviously, I mean, even if we look at the whole carbon credit industry, the net beneficiary of carbon credits has been the financial services industry that makes money trading these things around. They're not solving our environmental problems. They haven't changed how energy is produced around the world. They're just a financial instrument.
Right.
And so this is real. This is transformational. In fact, I would argue that commercializing nuclear fusion technology is the single most important thing that we can do for
by far.
Our environment.
Easily,
right?
This should be it. This is it. If you have this is really all you have to do. You'll take all energy that is being manufactured and make it 100% clean. That's all you have to do. That's like shutting the planet off, which they said we had to do. That's what this would be. That's right. And the craziest thing about all of this is that we're so close to having this breakthrough, is that less than $10 billion over the last 3 decades has been invested by the U.S. government and by the private sector in nuclear fusion technology projects and companies. Now, that said, this year, 2022, was an absolute record year. It was the biggest private funding year. This whole industry has been primarily driven by a private industry, venture capitalists. So in that sense, it was a breakthrough year, and that's because people can see that we're really on the cusp of this breakthrough. So I believe that at the government level, we're going to see a very big shift in terms of levels of investment. This should be the equivalent of, a Manhattan Project or an Apollo program in terms of energy policy. Okay. Can you hang on just a few minutes more? Jeff, do you have time? Okay. Because I have a couple of questions. One, I want to know what we should look for, because I don't trust the government at all. What do we look for that we could hang our hat on as this is real in tomorrow's announcement? Also, I want to talk to you a little bit about 2023, what you see coming in 2023 that will be game-changing towards our lives. That and so much more coming up in just a minute. Stand by.